bike and equipment do you take when you're bikepacking in Patagonia? Well, let me tell you. Hopefully you've seen Mark Beaumont's and my video where we tackled dirt and a gravel loop in the Patagonian Lake District by now, but if you haven't, make sure you check it out over on GCN. There was a little bit of everything thrown into the mix and certainly no shortage of amazing views, amazing food and amazing people. But in addition to that, I also wanted to be able to talk to you through all that super cool tech we had with us. This was our top-end bikepacking setup. Let's start off with the bike. This is BMC's new gravel bike, the BMC URS. URS is short for unrestricted, which pretty much sums up where Mark and I have been riding. But you probably don't want to see it with fully kitted up. You want to see the bike, don't you? So I guess I should get all these bags off. So now I've taken all the kit off, you can really see this beautiful bike. But I'm sorry, it is covered in dust and it's pretty, well, dusty here in Patagonia. But to be honest, I think it adds to it. Now on the gravel spectrum, this leads more towards the off-road rather than the on-road. Not because it's heavy or it's slow, quite the opposite actually. BMC say this bike comes at 8.3 kilograms, which is pretty light. And added to that, this bike's got some really cool features that lead more towards the adventure gravel rider. Geometry-wise, this bike more leads towards the modern mountain bike. It's got that long frame or long tops tube with a really short stem on the top. It's also got quite a slack head tube. So when we're looking at a gravel frame, tyre clearance is absolutely crucial. BMC say you could run 45mm wide tyres on this URS frame. I'm running 42s, meaning I've got that little bit of extra space or a little bit of extra wiggle room, so I can run slightly less tyre pressure, but also, this URS frame has another trick up the sleeve. This is known as the MTT, the micro travel technology that BMC have integrated into this URS frame. BMC first introduced this technology on the Team Elite XC mountain bike, and it adds an additional layer of comfort to the bike. It gives you just 10mm of suspension travel, but it's significant enough to take that edge off bumps and is also designed to help with traction on rough and loose trails. Now adding to that MTT a little bit of suspension there, we've got some comfort added by this D-shaped seat post, and that's taken inspiration through a lot of other of the BMC frames. Up front we got Easton's carbon fiber bar, and attached to that we've got a very short stem there. What allows you to have that really short stem is the longer top tube, so you can really get away with it. On a road bike you wouldn't be able to. Now Shimano has also helped us out on this trip of a lifetime here in Patagonia, and they've also got us their new GRX group set. So I'm using the RX800 electronic Di2 version. Now a lot of you bikepackers out there will be shaking your heads at the thought of me taking electronic gears out on an adventure, but to be honest, with the tech proven over the last 10 years, I am not concerned, and Mark Beaumont has told me that he rode the length of Africa using Di2. So this group set is very like the BMC frame. It kind of merges road and off-road with a couple of really cool features. So on the back there, you've got Shadow plus a clutch system rear mech. And then on the front, you've got the narrow, wide chainring at the front there. That's all to help keep the chain on and that chain tight through rough terrain. In fact, on the URS, you have to run it one by, as with the tyre clearance and nice short chain stays, you actually can't fit a front derailleur in. Now you're probably wondering what gears I'm riding. Up front I've got a 40 tooth chainring, and on the back I've got 1140. That rear mech also helps with the quietness of your ride, so it stops any chain slap, which is really helpful. But also an added thing, the Shimano have worked on looking at people's riding through gravel and where people ride and what position they ride in. And they found that a lot of people ride gravel in their hoods. So they've actually changed the pivot point, meaning it's far easier to brake when you're in the hoods and you've got better leverage. Now, no bikepacking check video can finish without showing you some of my bags. Luckily, Shimano have sorted me out with them too. This is my Seatpost bag. So in there, I've got my Vango tent, which is the world's lightest tent, coming at 700 grams. I've also got some cooking equipment, some food. I've got one of my thermal layers there from Altura also. Then if I lead on to my TopTube bag, so this is a really important one. So I've got my wallet, my phone, a battery pack just in case I lose battery in the Wahoo or my phone. And I've also got my passport because we went through the Argentinian border just a moment ago. So that's really useful and easy accessible. Then I've got my frame bag. In there, I pack some food, maybe a map if I'm getting lost, or tools, anything I want in quite quick without unraveling anything too big. So anything I need on the day, I'll put in there. And then my bar bag. In my bar bag, I've got my sleeping bag, my roll mat, a few extra layers. I've got trousers in there and a pair of shoes. So that's gonna go on my bike in a moment because I'm headed to the other side of the lake that's where we're gonna be camping. Mark Beaumont's obviously with me on this trip. He's taken a larger bike with the same frame, but he's also got some different components on there. So I reckon we should take a look at what he's bringing.
Well, my steed for the Patagonian adventure is pretty similar to James's, the BMC URS. Obviously a bit bigger, I'm 6'3", and the geometry for me is fascinating, just to see the evolution of bikes built for bike packing and gravel over the years. Gone are the days, I remember being in southern Ethiopia with the spoon, trying to clear the mud out so I could carry on and not have to push the bike. You know, I'm riding 42s at the back, similar at the front, they might be slightly narrower, and let a little bit of air out the tyres as soon as we went from the tarmac onto the gravel, and that made all the difference. But what I really like, which I've not come across before, is that dampening in the rear, which is meant to give you about 10 mil, and it just does, as well as getting the tyre pressure right, just smoothing out the ride on these sort of constantly rough, loose roads. In terms of group set, I've gone for almost exactly the same as James's, except for traditional as opposed to electronic. So it's the GRX 1x, very much inspired by the single chainring at the front, the cross-country setup. And what looks like quite a big dish at the back, you know, with all your sprocket choices, but you need them, and we've felt that already in Patagonia with the big hills. We've both been in the granny gear at points, but also there's times where we're fleeing along at 20+ miles an hour, and it's quite nice to have that top end range as well. What I've not ridden before on the Shimano group set is this clutch system. And what I've noticed on the corrugated roads, that you're not getting any of that sort of chain jump, you're not getting any of the rattling around you quite often get if you're taking a road bike into the gravel or a more old-fashioned gravel bike. The frame bag setup that I've gone with is different to James's. I've gone with the new Altura bags, and that's sort of about an 18-litre setup at the back. I've got really spare clothes, things I don't need to access during the day, pots, pans, cook setup. In the front, this is what I always call my house. So that's basically, I don't need that until the end of the day. It's quite often the heavier bag on the bike as well, and having that weight up front, you know, can quite often help. But you know, the overall setup in terms of the look and shape of the bike, pretty similar. Chosen some different componentry, and well, we've got a long way to go yet and some more technical terrain ahead of us, but so far really enjoying it. I hope you've enjoyed this tech video by James and myself, all about the BMC Shimano setup here in Patagonia. If you actually want to watch the adventure itself, click down here for the link, and don't forget to subscribe, click on the globe.